Hello?
So, you muted, Mike.
I'm about to grab me some food real quick.
You said what?
I'm about to grab me some food real quick.
Okay.
Hey.
So before we get started, we'll go ahead and just open up with prayer. Hallelujah. Thank you, Father, for allowing us to come before you to gain some knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of your word as you see fit. We thank you for allowing us to gather here in your name. We don't take for granted for the long way you done brought your nation. Of course, we did sin against you, and we lost some of the favor and some of the privilege that you granted us, and you righteously punished us. But over time, you showed us favor, and you slowly but surely started lifting up the burdens of off us, started lifting the yoke of iron from around our necks. And here we are now, able to fully try to gather an understanding of you, not through systems or religions or things like that, but directly from your word with the guidance of your Ruach. I ask you to please bless this lesson today, help it resonate so that we can use it and apply it to our daily lives and use it to try to help continue to wake up your children. All these things we ask your son, Yahusha, our King and our High Priest name. Hallelujah. Amen.
Amen.
Lisa, no Cold Jam. Hey,
I can't hear nothing.
can y'all hear me?
Oh, there it is. I fixed
Okay. Listen, don't bring your problems here to us.
it.
No, but I'm so glad you're here, Michael. Last week I was the only man here. You had me out. You and Justin be leaving me, man. Y'all be out here for me. Y'all be out here for like a pastor. Like I could just run and manipulate all the women in the church. Have them come home cussing you out, talk about how you need to put the beer can up.
Oh.
That's how a lot of people don't know when men ain't around, because if for some, I don't know what it, well, I think it's a desire for women to be led, which allow them to gravitate towards knowledge and wisdom, because there's protection within that. And I think that men, that's how come you see a lot of women at church and the men ain't there, and it causes a conflict, because a woman, she started looking at the pastor, the deacons, or anybody. I'm about to mute Mike's face. Mike's face is bothering me. The way he chewing that food is just disturbing. No, it's playing. But
I'm hungry, dog.
no. That's one of them little dogs, ain't it? You got one of them little dogs in that place. It's crazy. But the person that have too much influence, and it causes a lot of conflict, because women gravitate towards authority or what they assume power is. That's how come it's important to have men involved in these type of ordinances or whatever, because we know that structure and leadership come from the man. But this is a prime example of how the Most High work a lot of times, that why in a more idealistic situation, the structure gonna come from a man. We clearly see that here in this system right here, that the Most High, with all his capabilities and powers, he able to circumvent the natural order, so to speak, where he'll use women in the stead of men to further his nation or to continue his nation building. And in this particular instance, being that what women are going to be teaching the children under them, is super powerful, because women are the nurturers. They're the ones who deal with the children as far as their emotions and things like that. So it always work out in the favor of the Most High. And I mention the children because remember, that the whole thing and what we do and our biggest aim is to teach the children. Like when the Most High was giving the law to the our ancestors, I'm about to say the Israelites, like it ain't us, but giving the law to our ancestors, he always told them, remember this, tell your children that I did this. And that's what we're supposed to do. Always continue to tell the children like what Yahuwah did, what Yahuwah gonna do, what Yahuwah is doing. He specifically was telling them to remind them about when I brought you out of Egypt. The whole goal is to prepare the next generation for what's coming, or to let them know exactly who we were and why we should be grateful to the Most High. A lot of people don't understand that the reason why we grateful, they don't understand why we are grateful to the Most High. Like it's just like people just, it's like a religious thing. And what I mean by that, like we just say things without context. So when you tell children that they should obey the Most High, we got to let them know that the reason why we do that because he's our benefactor, because he's the reason why we eat. The reason why we can do anything and everything is simply because of him. And then we give him instances of things that he done. We can go to the bigger picture and talk about how he led our ancestors out of Israel, or we could talk about how he gave our son. I'm sorry, his son. Go ahead, Bubs.
Never mind. I was gonna ask him to tell Lisa how he got his sound.
How he
got
was.
it.
Okay. Well, is she still here?
No, she didn't have no sound. She left. She trying to figure out.
Oh, okay.
She just put it in the chat.
Okay.
He helped her.
All right, that's fine. That's cool. So we have to put everything in context. We can talk to him about what we consider the big picture. He brought us out of Egypt, he saved Noah in the flood, he sent his son. But we can tell him on a more micro level, or we tell him if it weren't for him, we wouldn't have these bills paid. We wouldn't be able to eat, sleep, breathe. We gotta have to put everything in context. Like we have to refrain from vanity that we was privy to or given to here in the system. And what I mean by that is a lot of times what we want to do is we want to thank ourselves for things Yahuwah do. Like when we talk to the children, we say things like, you better be happy that I gave you this or I did that. And we'll take all the esteem or all the glory. And we don't, and so we put ourselves above Yahuwah in their mind. What I try to do with Destiny, I always tell her that like I'm in like a position that Yahuwah put me in to guide her, to lead her. But I also tell her that I'm finite, that I'm not almighty, that I don't have all the power or all the answers. I tell her all that comes from Yahuwah. I make sure that she know that Yahuwah is almighty, that while to her I might seem strong, I might seem like I have a lot of answers, but anything that I know and any strength that I have comes from Yahuwah. So I want her to be aware of that or cognizant of that, to know that it's something way more powerful than me. And I'll just say this real quick, just to know this stuff do be on YouTube. So the way y'all look on here, this is how y'all gonna look on YouTube. I just want to tell y'all that right now. But the key thing is to always esteem Yahuwah for the children's sake, so they don't grow up thinking that they superhuman or we superhuman, because what they do is set everybody up for failure. Y'all forbid that I'm ever in a situation where I genuinely let Destiny down or I break her heart. But I want her to understand that, or just us in general, if we let each other down, that it's something that Yahuwah won't ever do. And that's why we should highlight him always above ourselves, because he's beyond reproach. It's times where I done offended Destiny, had her mad or upset at something I said or the way I said it to her, and I had to apologize to her because I know I hurt her feelings. I don't apologize just because I hurt her feelings. I apologize because I feel like I'm wrong. The key thing in that is Yahuwah will never apologize to us because he'll never be wrong, ever. So when you know you're dealing with somebody who will never apologize to you because they'll never do you wrong, that's who you want to latch on to. Before we get started, anybody got anything they want to give thanks for?
All praises to the Most High.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
All praises to the Most High.
Hallelujah.
I thank you for another scripture study. Thank you for bringing us through another work week. And sometimes we take for granted how good He is to us and how much He provides for us. We had so much to thank Him for, waking us up. Not only waking us up, but we're able to see, we're able to move. We don't need help from nobody else to do the things that we can do on a daily. We thank Him for His protection from danger seen and unseen. A lot of times we fail to thank Him when we can, give thanks all day long. So I thank Him for being able to thank Him.
Hallelujah. And that's something like it's a blessing to know that you blessed. To properly be able to just sit back and be like, thank you, Yahuwah. Because some people, man, their head be so high in the sky that they don't even be cognizant of the fact of like what Brenda just said. To just understand like daily and every day that He out here helping us, and it's always unwarranted. Like He not repaying a favor. He not doing something.
Right.
He did something for Him.
Right.
And one more thing I was gonna say, it be stuff like it be stuff that we don't even know that we facing that He saved us from. And that's how come we gotta be cognizant or thankful for a blessing seen and unseen, because they don't know who He made turn a corner right before they got to us and they was gonna hit us or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Or if somebody was gonna come and work and shoot stuff up, but they overslept while we was there. So we gotta be grateful for all those things. Anybody else have anything they thankful or grateful for?
I like to say I'm all praise to the Most High. I'm grateful for favor, like stuff that I deal with on the daily with the job and with the business. I'm just grateful for favor. Even when I doubt within myself, everything always works out for his good and for my good. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for rest because I've been wore out here lately, but I woke up well rested.
I see you glowing. Look at you glowing. I
got that rest in.
That look like 12 hours of sleep. Look at you. Turn, let me see that hang time. Hair's just draping. Look at you. I'm so disappointed in my lack of. But no, I'm grateful that everybody here, grateful that we was able to make this smooth transition to Zoom. I thought it was gonna be a little bit more tedious than what it ended up being, but things always work out how they supposed to. Anybody remember what we talked about last week?
Did it come from Matthew?
Yeah, primarily or predominantly.
I remember. Let me see.
Well, y'all be out here horse playing.
I remember.
Horse playing.
Yahusha was talking to the people about. No, I was about to say what you said in the chat about getting rid of friends that would try to sway you to worship their Elohims. But it was Yahusha talking to the people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to look.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry. Everybody get a demerit. Let me see and pull this up real quick.
Hold on, let me see. I know.
I don't think Lisa can hear.
Lisa, you can hear us? Can you hear us? You gotta mute yourself.
Unmute. I don't think she can hear.
Let me see.
She has no sound. What did Michael do?
exactly what we was talking about. That's exactly what we was talking about. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear y'all, but I don't think you can hear me.
Oh, you can
I
hear us the
can
whole
hear you.
time?
Yeah.
Close the door, baby.
Oh, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was Michael who told me how to turn it on.
Yep.
All right. Can y'all see this right here?
Yep.
Yeah.
What we was talking about? We was talking about a house.
Mine's still loading.
Remember? That's
So
what we was talking about. Is it
Yeah.
clear? Is
Okay.
this clear for y'all?
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Okay. Okay, let me see. Let me see. So we talked about a house divided. Of course, we was talking about it was Matthew the 12th chapter, how when they accused Yahusha of being let's say a devil, they accused him of being a devil.
Yeah,
They
beat
said,
them up.
yep, they said because he was getting rid of demons. He
Mm-hmm.
told them that there's no way that a house divided can stand up. A divided house can't stand. And that's when I had messed up with the PowerPoint. I couldn't get it working last week. So we're gonna go through this and we're gonna talk about some things concerning about a house divided. We talked about it last week from a scriptural standpoint where demons can't go against demons and stuff to do righteous things, so to speak, how there has to be a conformity or a unity. So can y'all see right here on the screen right here?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Melting pot.
Okay. I'm gonna be kind of probably a bit more brief than I wanted to be because it's a timer up here, and I don't think y'all can y'all see the timer? I had only set the timer for a time, and I don't want this to end before we done. But I pray to be efficient and not just zooming through it for no reason. So I use a melting pot. That's a concept. I don't know if y'all familiar with it. Has anybody ever heard that before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for those who have heard it, what have you heard it or applied to, or have you?
Apply to America. I mean, the United States of America, as it is being a melting pot of all different people coming together,
Definitely. So
living together, rather.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So when we pull up right here, it says melting pot is a monocultural metaphor for a heterogeneous society becoming more homogeneous, the different elements melting together with a common culture. An alternate being a homogeneous society becoming more heterogeneous through the influx of foreign elements with different cultural backgrounds possessing the potential to create disharmony within the previous culture. It can also create a harmonious hybridized society known as a cultural amalgamation. Historically, it is often used to describe the cultural integration of immigrants to the United States. A related concept has defined as cultural additivity. So, like Michael's point, what he was talking about, a melting pot is just basically, outside all those fancy words, just a group of different people from different cultures coming together in a land that previously had its own culture. And sometimes it can become harmonious, and other times it can become disharmonious. So when we go to the next slide, what we have is cultural assimilation. Cultural assimilation is the process in which a minority group or culture comes to resemble society's majority group or assumes the values, behaviors, and beliefs of another group, whether fully or partially. Anybody know any examples of cultural assimilation, whether it be through scripture or through modern times here in this particular Babylon?
Uh,
Wasn't it
you repeat the
like when
question?
I'm sorry, we sorry.
I'm sorry, Mr. Brandon. Go ahead.
is it like when the Israelites married the Canaanites, something like that?
What about it? Like
Is that
it's
cultural assimilation?
that can like foreshadow it, or it can be the predecessor of what occurs. So you're not wrong, really.
Oh, so
Like them
like,
Cash Me Outside girls.
well, I'm thinking because yeah, and then I was gonna say like for instance, you see all these like on TikTok, you see all these black people doing these Indian dances to the Indian music, but they don't understand the meaning behind the dance or the meaning behind the music. Like I feel like it's like code switching. Like we got it bad. Like we'll assimilate with every other nationality except for trying to find out our true uh culture.
Definitely. And of course, y'all right on the exact same path, but I think we super surface level.
Mm-hmm.
For a scripture reference, Brenda hit the nail on the head with the Canaanites. It's what the Canaanites would do. They had a pantheon. Anybody know what a pantheon is?
Uh Different gods and different reasons for those gods.
Yeah, pantheon is like a hierarchy. Like it's like if we speaking from the scripture, it's like the divine council that we spoke on, how it's Yahuwah, then the people he delegate things to. If you ever look in the Greek mythology, it'll be Zeus, Hera, Hades, and all of them. Norse mythology, Odin, Thor,
Odin.
and the
Mhm.
like. So the Canaanites had a pantheon where they actually had El. That's what they refer to Yahuwah as. Like Yahuwah is not just exclusively known to Israel. Other nations in that particular region knew him. Remember, he made his name great after what he did in Egypt. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Pharaoh act like he didn't know what time it was. Then after a while, everybody knew what time it was. So
Mhm.
what the Canaanites would do, they would have their pantheon. They would have their hierarchy, their deities and things like that. In their pantheon, they had El, Yahuwah, who he's known to us as Mary.
Hmm.
They had him Mary, and I can't remember the particular deity.
Asherah.
Yeah, it could have been Asherah. That's exactly what it could have been. But they said that he was married to this person. So what we see is simulation. Or it was said that some of our ancestors would say that, but they wanted to give Yahuwah a wife because the other deities had a wife. So they tried to say, well, he do too. And that's a form of cultural assimilation. Another,
Mhm.
which is disrespectful and disregardful of Yahuwah's sovereignty. But another one in that particular time was, he mentioned Asherah. Asherah was who they would use for the Asherah pose. We did talk about it here before. Asherah pose was a pole that they would erect, and the priest or the priestess of that particular religion, a Canaanite religion that worshiped Asherah, they would have sexual sacrifices around this particular pole, or they would just get around and dance naked. And that's where the concept of the stripper pole come from.
Hmm.
But our ancestors would do the same thing. They were culturally assimilating. They would assimilate themselves or engulf themselves in a different culture. And this is also where you got the child sacrifice and things like that. Horn after other Elohims. It was part of assimilating into these cultures. Here in America, we so lost in a culture that we assimilate to everything. You will see black people pinching other black people on St. Patrick's Day saying, why you ain't got on green? That's an Irish holiday. That's not our culture. You will see black people running around here and stuff, putting up Christmas trees. It's cultural assimilation. We assimilate with another culture. Back and back for what we was talking about as a melting pot, though. All nations come together where Christmas time. Every single nation, wherever they come from, whatever the religion is, they have some kind of festival around that time. So that's where a hybrid, like where everybody loses a part of their cause to engulf themselves in one here. It becomes a melting pot. Everybody, remember we said it many times, excuse me, every god or every deity lives in America. All these people have been put together in a melting pot. All these deities. And remember, it wasn't supposed to be like that. That's how come he being Yahuwah split us all up at the Tower of Babel. He never had intentions for everybody to come together. And we're going to see why as we talk, because we talked about a house divided, right? Remember,
Mhm.
a house divided can't stand.
Right.
Mhm.
So these nations come together. They don't come together harmonious. They come together with their own belief system. They try to create a harmony that won't ever exist. So that's what cultural assimilation is, where you start adopting people behaviors like Arnika said. She said that the Catch Me Outside girl. We say this all the time, where we don't have a strong culture here. We just have things that we adapted along the way and we made it ours. But she referring to the white girl, or y'all see it all the time, especially with the popularity of hip hop, how everybody want to be a version of us. Where even on TikTok, everybody's trying to do every single thing we do. Is where they adopt other people's values or their behaviors and they try to make it their own. So the next slide we have is Americanization. Americanization is the process of an immigrant to the United States becoming a person who shares American culture, values, beliefs, and customs by assimilating to the American nation. This process typically involves the learning of American English language, the American English language, and adjusting to American cultures, values, and customs. Us, it don't really, it's hard for us here where we descend from. This all was forced on us. But we see other nations come here and they do it. You will see an African, and when we even American nation, I even extend it further and say just Western culture, where you see somebody he came from the deep darkest heart of Africa.
Yeah.
And you ask him what's his name, he say Fred.
Mhm.
Like, how you get that name?
That's true. That's true.
How you get why is your name Tom? You know what I'm saying? But they trying to identify or assimilate with this culture. And the reason why they do this because they don't want to be ostracized. If you volunteer to go into a room and stuff, you don't want to be ostracized. You don't want people looking at you crazy. They talking about your accent. They telling you like, why you eat that, or why y'all do that. It creates a sense of shame, so to speak. So what these people do, and it's just not Africans. You will see this thing with Asians. Y'all see mainly how people from different nations will come here and they get here and they start acting white towards us. And what I mean, they was like, you know what I'm saying? Don't y'all rob people? Ain't you in the gang? Can't you dunk? You know what I'm saying? They start viewing us how America views us. Like even it's not regulated just lighter people, white people, Asians, Africans. What we would consider Africans is a disharmony because they adopted American customs and principles in their thoughts and stuff, and they look at us the same way the white people do. Y'all ever dealt with that or seen that?
Oh yes. Oh
Like you see
yes,
the
definitely.
disharmony between other nations and us. Like they all look at us like, we ain't about to be down there with y'all.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because it's how they adopted society and things like that, how they adhere to the principles and things like that. And they come here and they learn the language. For a lot of people seek out America as a land of opportunity. And we've been conditioned to feel like that, and we've been conditioned to feel like it's the best place on earth. So some people can't even fathom the possibility of leaving this place because we've been conditioned to think that this is the best place on earth, that it's the best kingdom, the best nation ever. Where historically, according to the book of Daniel, each kingdom got weaker and weaker, less prestige, less influence. A lot of people think that the American lifestyle is like a new lifestyle. It's not. All things go back to Rome. Further back, go to Babylon. It's just that they present it in different ways. Nothing's new under the sun. And United States, in fact, is one of the weakest kingdoms ever.
True.
When you go back to Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, all these were more prominent, more powerful. Like in the context of history books, when you write the United States history book, when it's done, it's gonna be like, oh, that weak kingdom. And one of the main reasons why it's so weak, and it all fit the prophecy of Daniel so perfectly because it's a lot of infighting. And we talk about a house divided, how they can't stand, how it's weak. It's not, the foundation is weak. So another one we have right here is acculturation. Y'all never heard of these words, have y'all?
I looked them up and kind of looked over the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I read a lot and I had never heard of some of these words.
Yeah. I went and, try to do a little looking and stuff, and then more likely to probably more so hearing it, on my job and stuff. So on my used to be job, I'm retired. Thank you, thank you, thank you to the Most High.
You ain't gonna be out here
But
showing off. That's one thing we
I,
ain't gonna do. We ain't gonna be bragging and showing off, making the rest of us feel
Hey,
bad about Monday mornings.
look,
hey,
I'm gonna brag about them
Hey, go ahead.
today.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So um, even with it, relating to it to today, in today or whatever in society and stuff, I can see it more even with the culture in the prison system, or you know, um, and like you said, the Americanization too. With most of the people who you meet or whatever, they trying to get naturalized, so then they do act more,
Yeah.
so to speak, like the European. And it's funny that you say the Africans with the name, because I have a couple uh, friends that I have, Peter and Fred. It's so funny because they do act like that, and then you look and you say, well, they don't accept them no more, and they think that they're smarter than they are, but they not. They came in and they're not citizens, but they come in and join the military, being there for years, and still trying to get their citizenship, or even some Mexicans or whatever, they still trying to get their citizenship, and they'll be waiting on a naturalization, as they call it. And then I look at it, but we never had a chance to even say you're naturalized, that you're a citizen, which we don't want to be because we still slaves, you know what I mean, to this world. So yeah, I understand. And then you start looking at their different cultures and stuff. And most of the stuff you look at is superstition, you know, politics and stuff all involved. And it's more, like you said, the paganism or the superstitions that people try to um, follow even from the beginning of times.
Mhm.
So yeah, I just want to say that. But anyway, yes,
No, it's all good.
yeah.
Um, it's like here's acculturation. Acculturation is the process of social, psychological, and cultural changes. I'm sorry, change that stems from the balancing of two cultures while adapting to the prevailing culture of the society. Acculturation is a process in which an individual adopts, acquires, and adjusts to a new cultural environment as a result of being placed into a new culture or when another culture is brought to someone. Individuals of Individuals of a different culture try to incorporate themselves into the new, more prevalent culture by participating in aspects of the more prevalent culture, such as their
Yeah.
traditions, but still hold on to their original cultural values and traditions. The effects of acculturation can be seen at multiple levels in both the devotee of the prevailing culture and those who are assimilated into the culture. Acculturation, this is one that really talks about us, is how that when we was forced into a system, that we had to conform to it or adopt some of their ideologies or some of their practices just to advance in this particular system. But we would still try to hold on to some of our values and try to mesh them. This rarely works generation to generation to generation, because over time you try to engulf yourself so much into a different culture that you end up just fully losing yours. And one of those things that it's a lot of things that our ancestors who was here, like first few generations, they knew more so about exactly where they came from. Like if you ever get to read the story of Equiamo, I can't remember this Haitian dude. Well, they ended up in Haiti, but he was kidnapped from the west coast of Africa. But he was a enslaved person. He was an enslaved Israelite, and he would recount certain things that happened in his village and things like that. And one of the things I'll share with y'all in the chat. I think I read the book last year, but what he was talking about was like a lot of Hebrew customs, a lot of Israelite customs, the circumcision, um, the Sabbath, and things of this nature, sacrifices. But when he get here, that's not what's going on. He get here, and y'all gotta remember when he taught, it's his culture. It's not taught as a religion, it's his culture. So this is just what we do. The way we serve Yahuwah is just what we do. We don't have, we just wake up and this is what we do. But when you get here, it's a book, it's churches, it's preachers, it's all this stuff. And now you're like, I gotta adopt this. So their previous culture starts to fall. So when you have all these, whether it be forced integrations or organic integrations, the nature of these people, their core beliefs and their core values are going to start conflicting with each other. And we all know that oil and water can't mix. Like they seem like it's two liquid forms and stuff. And ideally, you put them together, that should just mesh. Like you see human people, things like that. And ideally, they should mesh. But the reason why they don't is because they're not from the same source. They don't have the same powers behind them. Now, again, remember we said that United States has all gods here. Everybody. You don't got to go to India to deal with Krishna. You don't got to go to China to deal with Buddha, whatever they mention. You ain't got to go to South America to deal with Quetzalcoatl. You don't have to be on the west coast of Africa to deal with the Orishas. You don't have to be in Israel to deal with Yahuwah. Everybody, it's like a meeting that happened, an impromptu meeting, because nobody was supposed to be doing this. Remember, everything was a border. In Deuteronomy 32, it talked about how he divided up the nations by the borders. And he said, sons of Elohim above them, well, you stay over here, y'all stay over here, y'all stay over here. And y'all don't be doing too much mixing, because it's going to cause a lot of what we want to say is infighting. You know, see them? Them, I'm sure that's some nations' deity. Some nations look at them like they got to worship them. That's what the United States is right here, a bunch of this. And when we talk about infighting, I'm gonna put some examples out here. Some of the things that they fight about in this country. Can y'all see that?
Mm-hmm.
We have people fighting over abortion, which has been a hot topic lately, where it's what they call pro-life or pro-choice. These things right here lead to discontent in a country. Now remember, this is referred to as the United States of America. We can't let that name be lost on us, the United States, where that name has never, ever been sincere. It's always been some kind of discontentment or discord. When you go back into the Revolutionary era, when the British sent the colonists over here to basically scout the land and live, it was a divide over taxes, so they say, at that particular time. Then it was a civil war about 100 years later. It's always been some sort of infighting. When you add more people to the pot, it's just getting more and more fighting or more and more different beliefs. So we have abortion, racism, religious differences, political affiliations, and gender wars. Now, we just briefly touched on abortion. We know everybody familiar with like the arguments for and against this, right?
Right.
One of the core beliefs of people who are against it, they see it as if it's murder. Are y'all in agreement with that?
Right.
They see it
Yes.
as murder. And then if it's murder, they see it if it's a sin, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
We know sin is transgression of a law. In particular, in our context, for our understanding, it's against the law of Yahuwah.
Yes.
So when you get people who are in a country where they don't respect Yahuwah, they don't care about Yahuwah, they don't have any spiritual religious leanings, they don't look at it like it's abortion. They call it a fetus, which is one of the most crazy names in the world to me, an embryo, a fetus. They give names like this to take away from the humanity, from the human aspect, to make you feel like it's not a baby. So they say things like this.
Right.
Mhm.
So fundamentally at the core, they say things like this to dehumanize you away from identifying this as a baby or a human being.
Human, yeah.
That's all the way. That's all across the board. They use that science. They use science to dehumanize everything.
Everything.
Yes.
And it's by design. It's not just happenstance or whatever. So now you got these people on the other side saying you should be able to do whatever you want to do. It's her body. You can't tell her what is her body.
Okay.
So now you have this rift between these two sides. And at the core is based on a belief system. Where if you didn't have these two groups of people with these two beliefs in this same place, you wouldn't have this temperament. You wouldn't have this divide because everybody would be harmonious in their beliefs. The baby killers over here, the baby no killers over there. So we go to racism. Racism is a relatively new thing. This didn't exist. Racism was nowhere found in back in the day, back in scripture times, or even like after that, like in the 1400s. That's when racism started to come to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
That's because everybody's identified by their nations at that particular time. Israelites, Canaanites. You never hear anybody referred to as the blacks or the whites or whatever in those times. So now here we are in this particular nation. You got all these different so-called races. You got blacks, whites, Asians, black people don't want to be black. They call themselves Dominicans, Cubans.
Mm-hmm.
It's always this discord and this discontent. So now we're going to argue over skin color. We're going to have racial riots. We're going to burn this up. We're going to kill y'all. We're going to destroy y'all towns. We're going to hang y'all out and have public parties about it. We're going to attack your schools. We're going to burn your churches. This is infighting based on what we'll call racism. These wouldn't exist if this person was over here, this group of people was over here, this group of people over here. But you have your melting pot, and now the infighting ensues, further weakening a so-called United Nation or United States. So we go into religious differences, which we briefly touched on the context of abortion. Now, here we are where, and remember, in Egypt, they had to go out and they had to ask for permission to go out from amongst the Egyptians to go sacrifice, because the sacrifice would have been offensive to the Egyptians, what they're sacrificing. Now, again, we weren't supposed to be there. We was there in captivity. It's similar to these times right here. So if you have a nation over here who say we don't eat pigs, and these nations over here like we do eat pigs, or these people saying that we got our Sabbath this day, this should be the holy day, or they saying this should be the holy day, or my deity says this, I believe this, is infighting in that regard. To now, that's another reason to beef or be into it with each other. Political affiliation, we see Democrats versus Republicans at a high rate all the time. The left-leaning Democrats are said to be pro-choice in the context of abortions. The left, the right, pro-life, or the right seeming to be pro-police. The left defund the police. It's just beef at every single turn. Then we go to the gender wars, which is super new. The context of men versus women is something super new. It might have been discontentment historically, or people having agreements historically, but it's never been at the way or at the state it is now. We legitimately live in a system where any conflict is a conflict. And I put gender wars, and I really wanted to talk about how the so-called trans type stuff, like that in itself is a gender war. That is atrocious to Yahuwah. It is abominable. Mm-hmm. For a man to say, I'm going to marry this man and we're going to be happily ever after. These two women talking about we about to raise our son together. He got two moms and stuff. Yahuwah looking like, what is going on? I do not approve of this. But there are particular places where this is acceptable. To like we talked about the Gala priest before. Homosexuality was prevalent in Rome and Greek. This is what they did. We talked about the Olympics. They were grown men would wrestle naked. They was pederasty, or that they was authorized to have young boy lovers, like all the
Spartans.
Greek heroes. Where we say, Michael?
The Spartans.
Yeah,
The whole.
they this was a lifestyle for them. So
Yeah.
it's only foreign here, and it's only conflicting. Everybody should be able to do what they want to do, but you also have the right to pay for the choices that you make. That's what people don't understand. So what we seeing here is how Yahuwah did not want us to be amongst these nations or being around everybody else who could negatively influence us. As we just said, it's bad enough if your own people messed up, but when you force it to amalgamation or force to blend in or be in a melting pot with people, nothing positive ends up coming out of it because you don't have a core belief, you don't have the core powers fighting for you. Nobody's the same thing, so it leads to infighting. This thing said we got 3 minutes and 20 seconds. If it end up shutting off, I'm gonna start another video. We don't have a whole lot left, but if it cut off, we're gonna start right back up. I don't want to feel rushed, but we are almost done. So with all infighting, it leads to forms of unrest. This picture right here is based on what just happened a couple weeks ago. Everybody familiar with it now, where the other black policeman killed the black dude in Memphis. If y'all ever seen the videos, I'm sure that y'all familiar with it. Everybody familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing new under the sun. Nothing new under the sun. Now we talk about where people Americanize, where you forget who you are,
Mm-hmm.
you sacrifice who you are, and you try to become who they are.
Mm.
And in this process, you don't have that same connection to your own people. And you start trying to do what they doing, and you start doing things to prove that you part of them. Again, we talk about how nothing new under the sun. So now we introduce scripture in this particular context right here. And it's a super similar situation. If y'all can, go to Exodus, the 2nd chapter. And let me know when you all get there.
I got it.
Okay. So in Exodus, the 2nd chapter, I'm thinking,
Hold on. Hold on.
Okay, no.
Okay.
All right. And we're going to start at verse 11. One day when Moses had grown up, he went out to his people and looked on their burdens, and he saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his people. He looked this way and that way to see no one. He seeing no one, he struck down the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. When he went out the next day, behold, 2 Hebrews were struggling together. And he said to the man in the wrong, why do you strike your companion? He answered, who made you a prince and a judge over us? Do you mean to kill me as you did the Egyptian? Then Moses was afraid and he fled. Now I use this in the same context right here. We deal with oppression every day in this particular captivity. When I say we as a people, me personally, I don't face these type of issues. The Most High, he keep me protected, he keep me covered. But for the sake of conversation, us as a people, this is some of the things that we face. The Egyptian, let's say they represent what we would consider white people now, or the establishment here today. Now, mind you, this happened in captivity. The United States has been referred to as Egypt in Deuteronomy 28:68, where it says we are going to Egypt or the bondage again on ships. So it's the same exact concept where we get here and we face this oppression. we have to try to overcome it. It's worse when the oppression comes from your own brother, from your own kin, while you're already in this particular captivity. Remember the taskmasters who was above the Israelites, who was forcing the labor, they were the other Israelites.
Mm-hmm.
They wasn't using at every instance, or in this particular documented instance, it wasn't Egyptians. It was other Israelites used to do their bidding. And they would, I'm sure, go harder to show their are y'all still seeing me?
Yeah.
Okay, the clock ran out, so I just want to make sure they would go harder to prove themselves. So y'all been in situations we all see, and we all see it. We ain't got to sit here and act like we got mince words. Where white folk, black people get to acting white. When they get around white authority, boy, they want to straighten up, fly right, and show them that they better than you. You know what I'm saying? Look at him over there, Barbara, eating that chicken. You know what I'm saying? They get to acting like what they perceive is white, and they would just disregard the way that they treat their brother in a more righteous way, or sister in a righteous way. So when we get to Moses, injustice is justice. His people get messed up. He killed Egyptian. The next day, he see two other Israelites fighting. And he tell them, hey, man, y'all can't be doing that stuff. Y'all got to protect one another. We're already doing bad. What you going to do, kill us like you kill him? You going to kill us like you kill him?
Snitch.
So I bring this up right here. I guarantee you that the way those two Israelites was fighting against each other, just their response, they wouldn't have fought against the Egyptian the same way. Those 5 police officers who beat that other Israelite down, they would not have beat a white dude up that same way. So these things don't change. They just, the clothes change, the names change, the location change. But when you in captivity, you don't have the Most High in your life, this mentality and this thing is still is going on. And also drew from this because it was a time of unrest in that captivity. This was around the time the Most High was choosing Moses.
Mm-hmm.
The cries from the children of Israel have finally reached the heavens. They finally reached Yahuwah's ears. They had been in captivity for a long time. To their credit, they hadn't overly assimilated with this nation. They still had their own language. They still knew what they were supposed to be doing, but I'm sure they had a lot of influences, which in fact is true because remember, it's shortly after this time when they was headed to the promised land when Joshua made his famous speech. Y'all can do what y'all been doing, but we're going to serve Yahuwah. Because they adopted the customs of the people around them. They assimilated. That's how come we got to make sure that we stay on the straight and narrow when it comes to Yahuwah, because that's where our power comes from. And at the times they get hard and crazy and stuff, we righteously lean on our rock, and we won't be seeking out all these other deities. We won't be sitting around here with rosary beads, kissing crosses, holding crystals. You know what I'm saying? That all comes from amalgamation. All that stuff has never been in Israel. But we lean on these things. We lean on other deities and things like that, rocks, sticks, and stones. That's what we get reduced to when we separate ourselves from Yahuwah. We get unrest. We get oppression. We get beat. We get killed. We get punished. We get smashed, looked upon negatively by other nations. So out of all this, remember, this just precipitated the time for judgment to come on a nation that was destroying them. We fast forward that to today. All these instances of these examples we talked about right here, abortion, racism, religious different, political affiliations, all these things right here lead to only one thing. That's a weak system. Not just in the context of like nations. If you have a system where just say a family system, a structure. You got a husband, a wife, and the children. If the husband and the wife are just sitting there bickering, going at it all the time, I'm talking about just outright, they're not harmonious at all. They always into it. The children gonna look up and be like, this is insane. The people who they supposed to be leading, the people who they supposed to be having a strong system for, the foundation then gonna seem weak. So when you got this weak foundation, what y'all think can happen next? Between a man and a woman, the foundation is weak.
Division.
Division. We talked about last week. We was talking about bonding a strong man.
Mm-hmm.
So if you already see a situation where you can penetrate the forces or get inside, and what you do is you bond a strong man, remember? Then you can take over. So just say hypothetically, the man come, the woman, we in this system where men and women are around each other and they shouldn't be all the time. I always say men and women shouldn't work together. There shouldn't be any over exposure between men and women who not in a relationship together, who not related, or who not doing some kind of righteous gathering. But so now you got this woman who exposed to this system where men and women have access to each other when they shouldn't. So now she's already part of a weak foundation. Her and her man can't get along, whatever. So now this outsider comes in, and this is just a good analogy, I think. And he is everything to her that her man isn't. And he even tells her, well, he should be doing this, he should be doing that. That's his way of, quote unquote, binding the strong man. You make the strong man weak. And once you bind the strong man, everything else is the plunder. Now you got her, and once you got her, you can dictate how she deal with her children. So in the context of nations, when you bind the strong man, can y'all think of a way they bind the strong man, so to speak, here in the United States?
Taking the man out of the home.
That's definitely one way. Matter of fact, I'm going to say that's the most powerful way. And the reason why, or you don't just take them out, but you make sure they're part of your system. You train them up in the way you want them to go. I was going to say to take prayer out of school. That's one way, but this is not Yahuwah's nation, but it is a way where you can separate his children from him. Then you can plunder. That's how they deal with Israel. You get rid of all the righteous people. Anytime they was always trying to kill somebody, they weren't trying to kill wicked people. They was trying to kill the righteous people who fought for Yahuwah. You know what I'm saying? That's what they went after. They went after the strength. And that's how they end up destroying Israel. Or in fact, how Israel destroyed itself. And I say that because every great kingdom is destroyed from within. Now we can feel like all these things are happening out of nowhere. And a lot of people are like, man, we need to get it back to where it's never going back to a time where, for one, there's never been a time where racism exists. But there's never going back to make America great again ideology. That's never going to happen. America peaked. America had that. Now it's just downhill from here. There's never, ever, ever going to be a great time here in Babylon. And the reason why, because this is how Yahuwah wills it. This is all part of Yahuwah's plan. Nothing is going on accident. Nothing is just happening out of nowhere. What he does is he going to weaken this system, and they're going to raise other nations up. Because the strength of the United States is weak. The United States Army is weak. The economical system is weak. The spiritual system is weak. It's all weak. It's brittle. It's made out of clay. It's not iron, bronze, or gold, or silver.
So when you say he's going to raise up the other nations, what other nations will he raise up?
Brenda asked. It's like a novel. Asked Brenda. And then I said, let's go to the next slide. We'll go to Isaiah 13. And then we'll go to Jeremiah. But and what it is, it's going to say in here, but this is like what the world war is going to, like World War III and all these coming wars, the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Remember when Yahuwah talk about these wars, or he going to gather these nations and he going to deal with them. It's not him jumping off and then just getting his cannon and shooting it. He used these nations to fight against each other. These particular instances, other instances and stuff is going to be his people out here tearing up. But y'all got Isaiah 13.
Yeah.
Everybody still here? Who left?
Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody woke.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
So we go to Isaiah 13 chapter. And in ESV is titled The Judgment of Babylon. The oracle or the prophecy concerning Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos saw. On a bare hill raise a signal, cry aloud to them, wave the hand for them to enter the gates of the noble. I myself have commanded my consecrated ones and summoned my mighty men to execute my anger, proudly exalt my anger, my proudly exalting ones. The sound of a tumult is on the mountains as the great multitude. The sound of an uproar of kingdoms, of nations gathering together. This is how he does. He gathers nations. He gathers these different kingdoms. Yahuwah of Sabaoth or Yahuwah of Ost is mustering a host for battle. They will come from a distant land, from the ends of the heavens. Yahuwah and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Indignation, of course, means his anger. So these are like the weapons of anger. These nations are used to basically as a belt, just like nations would use again. Remember, he got mad at us. He didn't just come down here and just plug us up, take us out the land and drop us off. He used other nations to do it. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yahuwah works in an order, a decent order, where he does things uniformly. He don't go out his way to do no weird stuff. So in the same way, when he came and got us out in the first captivity for Babylon, he used Babylon to take us over. Like he used nations to do his bidding. So in this particular instance right here, he said he gathered up nations from far a distant land. Anybody who the United States has an issue with or beef with, they don't live right next door to us.
Mm-hmm.
They come from far. And what's going to stand out is the United States has never been invaded. United States, it's not like we over in the land or in the particular area where we originally come from, where everybody's real close to each other.
Mm-hmm.
The imminent threat all the time. We far from everybody. So this is what's going to make it even more remarkable. It's never been invaded. And it says they're going to come from distant lands, from the ends of heaven, meaning all over. Verse 6 says, well, for the day of Yahuwah is near, and the destruction from the Almighty will come. Therefore, all hands will be feeble, and every human heart will melt. They will be dismayed. Pangs of agony will seize them. They will be in anguish like a woman in labor. Now, imagine this. This is how come it's important to line up with Yahuwah. Because we live in a nation where nobody can imagine these things happening. People don't imagine you look outside and there's people out here just stabbing and killing and just tearing you out the front. It's unimaginable. So it's going to cause anguish. It's going to cause agony. They will look aghast at one another. Their faces will be aflame. Nobody going to have no answers. Behold, the day of Yahuwah comes, cruel and the wrath with fierce anger, to make the land a desolation and to destroy the sinners from it. For the stars of heaven and their constellations will not give their light. The sun will be dark at its rising, and the moon will not shed its light. I will punish the world for its evil and the wicked for their iniquity. Now remember, world is not like the globe. It's that particular age, that kingdom, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So let's keep that in context. I will put an end to the pomp of the arrogant and lay low the pompous pride of the ruthless. The pomp just being like, we think we all that, can't nobody touch us. We do how we want to. We rule wickedly. We ain't got nothing to answer for. We don't fear anything. We have that arrogance. This system don't function and it's not supposed to because it's not his, but they disrespectful. The same pomp and arrogance is how the Pharaoh was in Egypt, remember?
Mm-hmm.
How he just, I don't know you, who get out my face, go work harder with less material. So it's that same level of disregard. If you go out here and you tell anybody who in a position of power, whether it be somebody just above you, your supervisor, man, it just don't feel with my spirit, my Elohim, Yahuwah don't want me to do this. You go, what? What? Well, the company handbook say, you know what I'm saying? The company handbook will trump the Most High. This is where we at. They have no regard for Yahuwah. And you know why that is? Anybody know why that is?
I kind of want to say a control thing.
Say what you want to say. Because I don't understand what you're saying. When I say, okay, I'm saying they don't regard Yahuwah because of what? Or they don't respect him because of what?
They don't believe in him.
Yep.
You're not there, Elohim.
Oh, that's like she said, whoever said he's not their Elohim, it's the same exact thing. So you're exactly right. The reason why they don't believe in him because his representatives are worthless fellows. We were supposed to be a light to the nations. We supposed to be a reflection of him to show, you know what I'm saying, be his witnesses on earth. And we was terrible witnesses. We was terrible representatives. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna send my when you send your children to school, they represent you. Cause y'all know that when y'all see a child that's just acting stupid, foolish, getting in trouble, you think that must be how they was raised. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you automatically think that the parents ain't no good. So when we out here acting like we acting and stuff, how you think they gonna look at Yahuwah? Like he worthless. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So if we supposed to be his representatives, or we supposed to be a reflection of him, that's how we gotta carry ourselves better. Because if we out here talking this Yahuwah stuff, and then we out here sour, being mean, disrespectful and stuff, it make him look bad. That's how come he always say, I'm gonna do this for my name's sake. So this nation don't respect him because they don't respect us. It's our fault. I always say that the way the world is going is our fault. Because had we kept our natural order and followed Yahuwah how we did, the other nations was gonna follow us. And they wouldn't be in the disarray they in, for the most part. You muted, Brent, if you trying to say something. Okay. So verse 12 says, I will make people more rare than fine gold, and mankind the gold of Ophir. So he gonna y'all go outside, how much gold can y'all find? Can y'all just go outside and just find gold down the streets?
Mm-mm.
So that's how he's saying after he done dealing, that's how it's gonna be with these people. It ain't gonna be that many of them. 13 says, therefore I will make the heavens tremble, and the earth will be shaken out of its place at the wrath of Yahuwah of hosts in the day of his fierce anger. And like a hunted gazelle or like sheep with none to gather them, each will turn to his own people and each will flee to his own land. Getting up out of here. We're going right back. Everybody going back. We're going back over here. With them, it's going to be a separation. Because there ain't going to be no more false unity, no more false United States. Whoever is found will be thrust through, and whoever is caught will fall by the sword. Listen to this. Their infants will be dashed in pieces before their eyes. Their houses will be plundered, and their eyes ravished.
Their wives.
Wives.
Oh.
Now listen, this is where these wicked Israelite camps, they see this, and they say that that Yahuwah authorized our nation to just go out here killing babies and raping women. That's how they spin that. But we just read here in context that he said he's going to use these other nations to do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be war. It's like he has the same, remember, these things happen to us. These same things happen to us. He said they're going to get what happened to us, but a double cup of it. So the same thing that happened to us is going to happen to them, but it's going to be turned up. So they are going, all these things going to happen. Their babies going to be out here getting killed. Their houses are going to be getting taken. All their goods, their gold, their jewelry, their fancy cars, all that stuff going to be getting taken. Their women going to be getting taken and things like that. Behold, I am stirring up the Medes against them who have no regard for silver and do not delight in gold. Here the Medes are the Persians.
Mm-hmm.
The Medes and the Persians, they were actually amalgamation of two nations. And modern Persia or Medes is Iran. And just be aware of like all the conflict you hear between the United States and Iran or people in that particular region. Because this is like one of the peoples that he said he's going to use to fight or destroy the United States. The thing that stands so out right here is he says that they will not regard silver or delight in gold. Anybody know what that means?
They don't care about what you got. They don't care
Buy
about
your,
your silver or your gold.
can't buy your way out of this one.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
they can't buy
What about
can't buy
this?
your way out. Yeah.
Ain't none of that. Their bows will slaughter the young men. They will have no mercy on the fruit of the womb.
Mm.
Their eyes will not pity children. We live in a system where they feel it's cool to kill babies. So don't be crying now when I come over there and bust that baby in the head.
Abortion, yeah.
It's being cool. And Babylon, the glory of the kingdoms and the splendor and the pomp of the Chaldeans will be taken like Sodom and Gomorrah when Elohim uprooted them. Now, Babylon, the glory of the kingdoms. The United States, is we just talked about. Lisa pointed out like where she was at, how everybody wanted to come and get Americanized. Everybody was trying to be citizens. It's the glory of the nations. Every nation, well, for the most part, is kind of starting to wane. People are not looking at the United States like they used to, but they all look at us like, oh, that's something cool to be part of. So now they're going to have to see it get destroyed. This talked about in Revelation 2, around the nations mourn for Babylon when Babylon get destroyed.
Mm.
But it's going to get destroyed just like Sodom and Gomorrah, something swift. It will never be inhabited or lived in for all generations. Nobody will ever live here again when Yahuwah done with it. No Arab will pitch his tent there. No shepherds will make their flocks lie down there. But wild animals will lie there, and their houses will be full of howling creatures. Their ostriches will dwell, and the wild goats will dance. Hyenas will cry in its towers, and jackals in the pleasant palaces.
What's a jackal?
A jackal is like a canine.
Oh.
It's kind of like a wild dog. We'll look it up, okay? But it's like a wild dog. In the pleasant palaces. So all these big houses, all these things that look good, it's gonna mean nothing. They're gonna be inhabiting animals running in and out. It's gonna be like a apocalyptic movie, like Mad Max or something. Its time is close at hand, and its days will not be prolonged. So the final scripture we're gonna go to is Jeremiah 11, 1 through 11, and it's much of the same. Let me know when you're ready.
Ready.
You ready?
Yeah.
The word that came to Jeremiah from Yahuwah. Hear the word that is covenant and speak to the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. You shall say to them, thus says Yahuwah, the Elohim of Israel, cursed be the man who does not hear the word of this covenant. I believe I'm reading the wrong one. I'm definitely reading one. No, I'm not. Hold on. Give me a second. I think I had wrote down the wrong footnote. Give me a quick second. We just came from Isaiah what? 8-13?
Mm-hmm.
Hold up. Go ahead. Was somebody about to say something?
I think it's right.
Is it?
Yeah, because reading further down,
Okay.
bring disaster upon them that they cannot escape. Though they cry to me, I will not listen to them.
No, that ain't it. I was in the wrong because the other nations ain't gonna cry to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They are. This is their judgment or whatever. Go to Jeremiah 51, 52. Okay. Really, it's almost good grief. It's the whole Jeremiah. Let's go for Jeremiah 51, and I'll go 1 through
11.
Yes. Yep.
Utter destruction of Babylon.
I'm in 51 instead of 11. Thus says Yahuwah, behold, I will stir up the spirit of a destroyer against Babylon, against the inhabitants of Lebkamai, and I will send to Babylon winnowers, and they will winnow, and they shall empty her land when they have come against her from every side. Everybody engulf it, take over on the day of trouble. Let not the archers bend their bow, and let him not stand up in his armor. Spare not her young men, devote to destruction all of her army. I know people in these armies, y'all better tell them, hey man, you don't want to be there when that fight go down. You might want to sleep in, call in sick. They shall fall down slain in the land of the Chaldeans and the wounded in their streets. For Israel and Judah have not been forsaken. Like we here, he ain't forgot about us. The cry is reaching up just like it did in Egypt. By their Elohim, Yahuwah Sabaoth, or host, but the land of the Chaldeans is full of guilt against the Holy One of Israel. This place is full of guilt against Yahuwah. All the stuff they was doing to us, they weren't just doing to us, they doing it to him. Remember he said, anybody who bruised you or touched you, they touched the apple of my eye, right? Flee from the midst of Babylon, let everyone save his life. To flee Babylon is to save your life. When you leave this system, when you disengage, you saving your life. When people don't want to leave Christianity, they don't want to leave these holidays or whatever, they sacrificing themselves. Be not cut off in her punishment, for this is the time of Yahuwah's vengeance, the repayment he is rendering her. Babylon was a golden cup in Yahuwah's hand, making all the earth drunken. The nations drank of her wine, therefore the nations went mad. Suddenly Babylon has fallen and been broken. Well for her. This is all in Revelation. Same thing. Take balm of her pain. Perhaps she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she was not healed. Forsake her and let us go each into his own country. For her judgment has reached up to heaven and has been lifted up even to the skies. Yahuwah has brought about our vindication. Come, let us declare Sion, the work of Yahuwah Elohim. Sharpen the arrows, take up the shield. Yahuwah has stirred up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, because his purpose concerning Babylon is to destroy it. For that is the vengeance of Yahuwah, the vengeance of his temple. Jeremiah 51, super long. Y'all can finish it if y'all want to. I'm just telling y'all that what precipitate all this judgment, this destruction, how Babylon gets so weak, is the divided house. You understand that?
That melting pot.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, that melting pot.
Melting pot. And the reason it's a melting pot is put together under false pretenses. It wasn't meant to be put together. It's too many mixing of iron and clay. It's too many nations here with too many ideologies, and it's not united. United States is like a big hoax, that terminology, the United States. So again, the Messiah said, Matthew 12, a house divided cannot stand. So when we sit around here and we look at everything around us, especially for people who have hope, this is a way we can convey to the people we care about, the people we love, who we try to tell about what's going on. And like people who got faith in this system. You just got to point out this system. You're like, this system not even united. If it's something that's not united, it can't stand. If we build a house and I keep telling you, we lay out the blueprints, this is how we're going to do it. And I say, give me the hammer. You can't hand me a screwdriver. And I say, why you hand me a screwdriver? You say, because in my religion, we don't use hammers. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, well, how can we work on this if in my nation, we don't work on Fridays? You know what I'm saying? It's no harmony. It's not somewhere it's a uniform behavior. It's not a set of laws, statutes, and commandments that's intended for everybody. Like they got laws that's specifically for Black people. or specifically for women. The laws of Israel was meant for everybody except menstruation and things like that. You understand that?
Mm-hmm.
So
And
it's no uniformity here. So if it's divided, it's weak. It's easy to bind this strong man here, and it's easy to destroy it. It has a weak foundation. So in all we do, we want to make sure that we, in any of our relationships, our situations that we got going on, whether it be in business or personal relationships, we want to make sure that it's united, that it's not divided, that we see here, we tell each other, this is how we're going to conduct ourselves like this. Like say, for instance, if we're going into a negotiated meeting, me and Destiny are go buy her school. And I'll tell her, Destiny, look, no matter how sweet that they talk, we're not going over $2. I don't care if they're throwing a gymnasium, a cafeteria, or that pizza that you eat every day. We not going over $2. And we going there with that plan, but like, yeah, man, because we figured we want to go for $2. Don't we got $2.25? Now they gonna see that weakness between us. They're gonna see that divide, and they're gonna say, oh, it's a separation, so we can separate them.
right.
We can divide them, and then we conquer them. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's how it be, and that's just how people. That's what the divide and conquer mentality is. So that's again, we see, can two people walk together unless they agree?
Mm-hmm.
We seen that in scripture. If you got two people together, they should be together. We come in here together, we should lead together. You know what I'm saying? If we have a real foundation where we rooted and we are together, we can go into this worst situation, but we can come out of it together. You see what I'm saying? And we lean on each other the whole time. But if you don't have that foundation, that belief, or like knowing that we're gonna go through this storm, it's gonna be easy for us to get separated. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how come we got to be cognizant of what's going on around us. This system is marked for destruction. It's the divided states of America. It is not marked just because of abortions, the gender wars, the racism. It's marked because it's been marked before Caitlyn Jenner even got on Earth. It was marked before Roe versus Wade got passed. These things that's going to facilitate it, just going to push it faster and make it more palatable for people around, so they can say this is why it happened. Because they don't want to just like Yahuwah said it's going to happen. But for us here, it's going to happen because it's like we got the warning. We getting all these warnings in this book. It's like we got the playbook. I always say that we know everything going to end because Yahuwah gave us a cheat sheet. You know what I'm saying? So if you can flunk an open book test, then okay, miss the kingdom. But it's like an open book test, and he tells us what's going to happen. And he don't even tell us, look, he ain't told none of us here you got to build an ark. He ain't told none of us here you go stand in front of Pharaoh. He ain't told none of us here you got to get on a cross or a stick, a tree, and die. Be killed. We ain't even been commissioned like that. All he told us to do was keep his law, statutes, and commandments. Stay vigilant. Stay true to his word. That's all he told us to. He ain't asked nothing major out of us. So we got a cheat sheet. It's up to us how we want to do it, how we want to handle it. Do we want to just continue to run with this divided nations? Or do we want to just forsake this whole world, forsake Babylon? And like it's like a big old comet or meteor come out of the sky and you see it coming. And you talking about some, man, I gotta get my keys out the car. And you know it's gonna hit the car, but you like, I gotta get my keys out the car. That's where we at with it. It's like it's stupid at this point, especially for our level of understanding, to even be tempted with failing, to be tempted to miss this ride. You know what I'm saying? The car's on its way with a full tank of gas. And when we get in this car, we're gonna have an abundance of wealth when we leave. That's what he said. All it is just follow him sincerely from our hearts. Anybody got any questions or anything we went over?
I don't. It's another good lesson.
You got any
I
questions?
like the breakdown.
Oh,
Well, I have
praise
a
him.
question.
Go ahead.
When you saw that funny thing, why you got chickens on it?
So they be fighting. Ain't no abortion, ain't no abortion. It is abortion, it is abortion. They be cat fighting. They be out here on some goofy stuff. But no, I just thought it was a funny picture.
Yeah, I can tell that. I can tell.
But if ain't nobody got no more questions and things like that, we can wrap it up. Y'all see the top of Bub's head? Oh, I thought Bubs, it scared me. I thought you were standing backwards with your head twisted. Listen, this all ourselves, but we went to go see Megan. It's a funny, good movie. All right. Go ahead and pray.
We saw that.
It's good, ain't it?
Yeah, well.
Don't interrupt the prayer for no Megan, though.
You haven't started.
Hallelujah. Thank you again, Father, for allowing us to come here in your presence to gain some knowledge, wisdom, understanding the word as you see fit. I thank you sincerely for giving me this commission to be able to teach these things. I pray that you continue to allow me to do so. I always say that I'm only viable as you make me. My value is based in you. I have no righteousness that allows me to stand before these people and teach. I teach based on your righteousness, based on your perfectness, based on your wisdom, based on your patience. I thank you for any favor that you give me. I ask you to continue to show us favor in the way that you do. Sometimes we don't get the blessing that we feel like we should get or need, but you always give us more than we do need, and you're always on time. I ask you to please continue to give us a spirit of peace. Peace is paramount in these times right here, especially in this captivity. All this unrest around us, we know that you Almighty, you will create a hedge around us. You will separate us from the world as long as we choose you. The things that affect this world won't affect us as long as we get in that covenant where our protection and our life-saving Elohim is inside of there. I ask you to please bless everybody here to understand your word and to let it penetrate our hearts, our minds, and our souls and our spirits, and then to flow out amongst your children to help rebuild a nation that was destroyed. All these things we ask your son, Yahusha, our King and our High Priest's name. Hallelujah. Amen.
I mean,
Y'all like this Zoom? Are y'all liking this Zoom?
Yeah.
yeah, I can't see everybody. I want to see everybody.